I am talking today with Andrew Szeri, the Vice Provost of Strategic Academic and Facilities Planning here at UC Berkeley. Hi, Andrew.
Hello, Annette. How are you?
Good. Thank you for sitting down with me today to share your leadership story.
My pleasure.
Can we start with a quick synopsis of your career path and how long you've been at the University of California?
I came to Berkeley about 19 years ago and have been here ever since, apart from one brief sabbatical.
And you've had a number of different roles here.
I was a faculty member, associate professor and professor until until 2005, when I had a first taste of administrative work, and that was as an associate dean in the graduate division. When Marianne Mason stepped down in 2007, I became the dean of graduate division here at Berkeley, and then I moved to my current position about a year and a half ago.
But you've also taken on the role with Operational Excellence.
Yes, I forgot about Operational Excellence, but it never forgets about me. That began, I began first as the co-lead of the OE IT design team,
Okay.
and then later I became the faculty head of the program office, where my job really was to oversee the implementation of the 24 or so projects that we had there.
So between your faculty role, your administrative academic role, and your OE role, you've had different kinds of experiences with staff, I presume.
Absolutely, yes. All kinds of different kinds of experiences with staff. In graduate division, there is quite a large staff because we have so many such wonderful graduate students. We have about 10,000 graduate students. We typically graduate the largest number of PhD students in the country, and we have a correspondingly robust staffing for fellowships and degrees and fundraising and IT and all kinds of things. So there's quite a considerable staff there.
So you've had many lenses then in the organization.
Indeed, I have.
What defining moments have occurred in your life and or career, and how have they shaped you?
Defining moments in my life or career. That is a difficult question. I would say I remember returning from a sabbatical in Germany in 2001 and being singularly incapable of sleeping on the overnight flight. And as I came back to the campus after the sabbatical, I was really thinking about how my life would be different in the future, how I wanted it to be different. And it was there and then really that I hatched an idea that I would like to try to find a way to contribute to the institution above and beyond my role in the classroom and in research and on the usual kinds of faculty committees that one serves on. It took only a couple of years before I found myself chairing an academic senate committee and then in graduate division. But that there was a singular moment there where I hatched that plan, for good or for ill.
As you look back, what core beliefs have guided your choices and actions?
Core beliefs. I have a core belief that you make better decisions if you have good information, but also I believe that you never have perfect or complete information, and so you have to be comfortable making decisions in an environment where you don't know everything. Related to that, I have a core belief that agile deployments of especially software products or business process changes really lead to the best solutions in the long run. Even policies that can be true about. So by an agile deployment, I mean when you're involved in a new undertaking, you try and get something out there as early as possible. It's incomplete. It's a partial solution to what you're trying to do. You get the experts, the end users, the people who really know what's going on to give you as much rich feedback as you possibly can. you alter what you're doing, you take another run at it, and improve. So it's a kind of it's tied closely to the concept of continuous improvement.
An iterative process.
An iterative process. And I'd say a third answer to that question, a third core belief, is that it's really important to get as much input, especially from divergent points of view, about what you're trying to do, so that you do the best job for the greater good.
And how do you go about doing that?
Well, it depends a lot on exactly what you're trying to do. So I remember in graduate division, we had a big effort in designing an online application system called Jazzy. This was led by Judy Dobry at the time and Corinne Kosmitsky. And together with them, we hatched a process whereby all of the graduate student affairs officers from around the campus would come together for a 2-day workshop to see if we could define what such a product would look like, what would be useful to develop. And of course, when everybody came into the room at first, they were each of the opinion that we're all so different, all the departments are all so different, that there couldn't possibly be one answer that could work for everyone. And by the end of the first day, it was more or less acknowledged that, well, about 85% of what we do is exactly the same. And by the end of the second day, it was realized that the last 15% could really be handled with just a few key kinds of flexibility in the product. And so this was a way to gather a lot of input into a critical design project right at the beginning. And also allow people to realize that what they're trying to accomplish is not so singular and different. And by realizing this, there's strength in numbers, we had the resources that we could be able to solve the problem for the great majority of departments all at once. So that's an example.
Thank you. What does it mean to you to be a leader?
What does it mean to me to be a leader? I think that good leadership is trying to anticipate future directions in which the external environment may well evolve, and trying also to build towards flexibility and robustness of the institution so that you'll be ready no matter how the environment evolves. So there's a formal discipline called scenario planning, which I like very much and which we've practiced a number of times in the context of operational excellence. In scenario planning, you try to identify what are the factors that are most critical to your success in your endeavor, and which could change according to external things you don't control. And then you map out potential future scenarios according to how those externalities might evolve. And then you think about what you could do today to help make your effort more robust, more resilient, so that no matter how things evolve in the future, you'll be more ready to meet the challenges.
So I know a key part of your role now is strategic planning.
That's right.
So do you try that approach for that work?
Indeed, and it's very important in pursuing that work not to try to solve yesterday's problems, but to get the institution ready and more robust and more resilient, so that whatever comes tomorrow will be better able to handle.
What have been the biggest lessons learned for you?
Biggest lessons learned, I would say, include the importance of cultivating relationships, a very broad set of relationships with a very broad set of different kinds of people, and cultivating those. I've learned to cultivate those at times when there isn't anything that I need or even anticipate needing from the person on the other side of that relationship, because you never know. The university is a huge place, but it's also a very small place, and it's good to have those positive interactions with everybody, because at some point they're going to need to rely on me, or I'm going to need to rely on them, and if we already have a good foundation of a relationship, then those interactions that we have to advance the mission of the university, those will go well.
So that's a great lesson learned, and it's also good advice for staff, which is a lead-in to actually the question, if you were to sit down today with a new young staff member, what advice would you give them as they begin their career?
I would say there are two important things to keep in mind. One is that life is very long, remarkably so, at least from my vantage point. And that means that there is plenty of time to build a set of skills and a set of relationships and a depth of understanding about the institution, so that you can advance in some way to a place where you're doing work that is really tapping your potential as a human being. And I'm a strong believer that everybody has a reserve of considerable potential. Some people are more fortunate in finding what that is earlier, or it lies in a direction which is in good alignment with the institution where they happen to be working, and that works out for the best. And some people are not so fortunate, but I do believe strongly that everybody has that reserve, that potential. And it's important to try to find where that is. So one piece of advice is that life is long, and there's plenty of time to cultivate that in yourself. The second piece of advice I would have is that because life is long, and because it means that each of us will have a large variety of engagements with the workplace during that long career, I think it is always important to think about what new skills or knowledge your current position can be a foundation to develop within yourself, and a next position that you might be considering from time to time, you should always evaluate it in the same way. Well, if I did have that position versus another position, what would I learn? And is it something that gets me closer to being able to tap my full potential as somebody who wants to contribute to the institution?
Yeah, I love your focus on learning there.
Yeah, well, I'm a professor as well. I've devoted my life to learning in one form or another. But I also would say that it's enormously satisfying to me personally to be part of something bigger than myself. The institution is one that I believe in profoundly, and so thinking about how I can play a role that maximizes my own potential and also leads to a stronger, better institution. There's an alignment there that I find very satisfying to pursue.
So apparently that comes across to your students, because I found a very interesting quote that one of your former students said about you. The best thing I learned was to enjoy what you do for work.
It certainly makes life easier, because whether you enjoy what you do for work or not, you still have to get up and go to work every day. And so if you enjoy it, it certainly makes life easier.
Is there anything else you'd like to share with our staff audience?
Share with the staff audience? I would say I'd like to share an appreciation for all of the hard work that everybody does. I wouldn't want to miss the opportunity here to convey my deep appreciation for what everybody does on a day-to-day basis to make this one of the very best universities on the planet.
Well, thank you so much, Andrew, for giving us your time and your insights and your wisdom, and for sharing your leadership story with us.
My pleasure.
Thank you.
Thanks, Annette.